What's going on, you loyal listeners? Thank you for tuning in to the L Squared Podcast. I'm your host here, Luke Larson, and joining me today, as per the usual, my lovely and loquacious special guest who will be assisting me in leisurely launching you into levity, joining us telephonically through the airwaves, Old Legs. What's going on, Old Legs?
What's up? I'm coming at you straight from the studio. My makeshift blanket over my head studio.
Yeah,
so
we
I got that crisp quality.
Yeah, we can tell.
Crisp.
I mean, I've been talking to some of the listeners here, and that's what everybody's buzzing about. Is they're saying the sound quality coming from Old Legs this week is next level.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna give myself a little pat on the back here.
Yeah, I think the audience might give you a little clap here. Yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
nice,
you.
guys.
No, I appreciate it. It's fine. I appreciate it, guys. Yeah. What do we got going on today? What's on the agenda?
Well, we have seen a couple movies, believe it or not. And,
yes.
You know, it's rare nowadays, but we actually saw one together, and we'll be diving into that a little bit. But
we're doing it live.
We're doing it live in color for you. In color meaning whatever color you want to imagine it in. We come in all colors. Just want to throw that out there. One movie that's kind of blown up in the internet world, which you and I inhabit from time to time, is a very memeable film, as proven to be. The one and only Bird Box. So, we've touched a bit on Netflix originals on our previous shows here. And, you know, this was one where Netflix got a lot of plays out of this movie. This was one of their more popular, for sure, openings, if not original films of all time, just for the amount of plays. But
right. I want to throw it out there just for the viewers. Again, we were talking earlier before we were on live that this medium, it's not a visual medium, so the listeners are going to have to bear with me here. But believe it or not, I'm actually doing this podcast right now. Completely blindfolded.
No way.
Yeah.
Can we get applause for that? Wow.
Yeah.
They're going crazy. It's getting louder.
I'm here in studio. I'm blindfolded. I have no idea what's going on. I'm completely disoriented. Wow.
That's entertainment, guys. I don't know what else we can do. I mean that's commitment right there.
Because you're not gonna do a Bird Box review.
Yeah. How can you?
Got a fucking blindfold on.
Right. That would be a slap in the face to the film. And you wouldn't see it coming. Yeah, go ahead.
So you brought up the memes, and this is where my mileage for memes kind of, because I don't want to be like the old guy, get off my lawn, get out of here with these memes. But this is kind of the topic where I'll see it on Twitter, and I'll see the headline, the have you done the Bird Box, like all the yada yada and all the really low hanging fruit internet click fodder that's out there, and I just can't really get myself into that aspect of it. So do you think, in your opinion, is this movie a better film or meme? Before we even get into like what the movie is,
right.
We don't really even need to really explain the premise of the movie, because the premise of the movie is Sandra Bullock has a fucking blindfold on. She's trying to live her life.
Yeah.
Blindfolded.
Right. On Netflix, everyone has Netflix, okay? on Netflix. If you hover over it, it's going to give you a little preview, and that'll tell you everything you need to know about it. So is it a better film or a better meme? Now, that's a very important question in today's environment, 2019.
Right.
You know, the thing is,
I don't actually know the memes. Like, I haven't looked at, like, what, I have no idea what the Bird Box Challenge is. Like,
yeah, I don't,
it's people, like, I understand it's, like, obviously, it's going to be, like, the same thing as, like, Tide Pods.
Right.
People are going to get injured. They're going to be walking around blindfolded.
Yep.
Taking a shit in the sink, thinking it's the toilet. Just, some real dangerous stuff here.
Yep. And, you know, the memes have been okay. They've kind of been a little lackluster, to be honest. But because the thing is the memes are basically just the same type of meme you would make about any blindfolded person. Like, it doesn't... It's not necessarily great. But I think it is an important question in 2019. Was the film better or are the memes better? But in this case, the memes aren't that great. So I'm going to have to say the film was better than the memes. Hot take.
Actually, you know what? I agree with you.
Boom.
I agree with you only for the fact that these are the type of meme, and I'm all for getting into a discussion about memes and what they mean, because there's actually good memes out there, but
there are.
But the idea that I hear about these memes through just kind of day-to-day people I work with is just just a sign right there. You're picking at just like the lowest hanging fruit.
Yep. And that's what I was going to bring up.
Do you want to talk about the Bird Box memes, or do you want to like talk about the weather?
Right. And that's what I was going to bring up too, is that when I see those memes, that's what I picture are those, as we call them, plebs. Right. They're kind of pleb fodder.
Yeah, it's like a one size fits all. They're there to appease the masses, which is inherently
bland,
milk
toast. Yeah, always. So. But, so we've established that the film is better, so would you go so far as to say that this was one of the better films you've seen in 2018?
No.
Yeah, same. I was going to be shocked if you were going to turn that around on me.
No. So, okay, I wasn't thinking in terms of films I've seen in 2018. I was more so thinking of just Sandra Bullock movies. Because I think at this point, her films are mostly, almost all of her films are Sandra Bullock films, right?
Yeah. I think that's safe.
There's not really she for the most part, and this is not like a dig on Sandra Bullock, but she essentially like transcends each film that she is in. And at this point, I don't really know what she can't survive.
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
She fell from space in Gravity,
almost unharmed.
She transcended style and feminism and miscongeniality. She drove the bus.
Exactly. In Speed.
In Speed, like I don't know, like what do you?
Yeah.
At this point, like what's left? What's left?
You know, I'd love to see her be able to survive a Liam Neeson throat punch at this point. You know, we've seen her go against some powerful opponents before, but I don't know if she's seen anything like a Liam Neeson throat punch. I'd be all in on that. Let's get back to hitting women. Actually, we're gonna have to cut that part out.
You gonna leave that one in?
No, I think we better we'll mark the time and we'll cut that one out.
Again, we were talking about this earlier, like the audio of us forgetting that we're doing a sound check is what ultimately will leak to the press when one of us is running for office in about 20 years.
Inevitably.
That'll be that.
And, we just have to hold each other to that standard that we're not going to deny any of it. We're going to say, yeah, I still believe that, even though it's 20 years ago.
I'm going to deny it all. I'm gonna look people square in the face and I'm gonna give them the Rafael Palmeiro. I did not use steroids.
So that means I'm gonna be like the jaded, wrinkled up, drugged out guy that they all interviewed. That they were like, so you were at once a co-host with Jordan, is that right? And like you heard some of these statements firsthand, and I'll just be like, I was there.
You did not. You were the enabler. You knew it was going on.
It was all my fault. Yeah.
You knew it was going on.
Yeah.
You knew about the emails.
But what? I didn't do anything about it. Why didn't I report them?
You knew I was sending those late night emails. You did nothing about it.
That's true.
Some more inside baseball here.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bird Box. Is it worth watching? Yes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Bird Box.
I think, it's not hard to say that this is probably one of the better Netflix original films.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't think that's a bold statement. Not to say that means like it's a overwhelmingly phenomenal film, but it was good. It was a fine little thriller.
Yeah, I love John Malkovich even giving like 50%. Like, he's so cool. Like, I would almost take the weird, you can never look outside doomsday scenario if I happen to end up with asshole John Malkovich as one of my roommates.
No, totally.
Yeah, he's so cool.
Yeah. It was definitely, they were just like, this is kind of like an asshole drunkard, kind of fool himself, sort of a John Malkovich type, and they're like, we could just ask him, like, he's just around, and then they were like, really?
He turns it around too. I don't even know if that was part of the script, but towards like the middle-ish, where it's like, oh yeah, he's established, he's lost his wife, he's an alcoholic, but he just gets it, and he's like, oh, of course John Malkovich would get it.
Yep.
Damn it, he's...
Yep.
So, John Malkovich...
It's worth it for that.
Probably worth the price of entry, I would say.
Yeah.
It's kind of... This movie, like, randomly has...
a really strong cast. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really want to open the Netflix payment model. Where do they get their money? How are they paying their people? Because we've been down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, and I'm still stuck there a little bit. I don't know if I've fully gotten out.
Well, you just gotta trust that it's.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just happening.
Yeah, I mean, like
look at it. Look at the cast: Trevante Rose, John Malkovich, Sarah Paulson just has a cup of coffee.
Right, that's true.
Lil Ray Howery, which is.
He's a huge star right now.
Maybe not the best use of him, but he's in it.
Yeah, Tom Hollander, who I always love. He's one of the main characters in one of my favorite movies, In the Loop. Really underrated British comedy, very good. Loved seeing him in there. And like you had mentioned, you had told me before when you were telling me to watch it, Trevante Rhodes, and the first thing that I've seen him in since Moonlight. It was nice to see him getting a nice meaty role, and he just kind of played this just a good dude, Overall, just a good dude. Machine Gun Kelly is randomly in it. That was annoying.
Boring.
Yeah, that was terrible. It's like, why?
That was the classic rapper show. He basically fulfilled the Wyclef Jean maybe not quite T.I.
Yeah.
He's right in between those two.
Right.
Like when Wyclef Jean shows up in like an X-Men movie, it's like, oh.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I thought you were about to say DMX, and I was like, hold up, don't be talking about DMX.
No,
DMX can act.
DMX is... DMX...
I mean,
DMX is an exception to the rule.
Yeah, he brings some heat. That guy brings
DMX
some heat.
DMX has presence.
He does. I mean, he may not be a good actor, but you feel him there, man.
What is it, like the Cat Williams stand-up where he's talking about meeting DMX in real life, and he thought he was like 6'5", and the guy's like 5'5".
Right, yeah, exactly. Yep.
Like, this is DMX? Oh my god. But you still don't want to fuck with him.
No. Yeah, much better choice. But I mean, overall, okay, here's a question for you. What do you think Bird Box's legacy will be? What do you think 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, will this still be, does this movie have staying power, more staying power than, I mean, can you even think of any other Netflix originals that came out more than a year or two ago? I mean, is this one that this is going to be the new standard?
It's the standard for now because of the eyeballs that it attracted, because there's very few things in pop culture that can command the train, the never-ending 24-hour news cycle. Like Game of Thrones is something that does it. When Game of Thrones is on, everyone watches, type deal.
Not me.
And
we've established
you and Clint Eastwood from The Mule are the only ones that are caught up on Game of Thrones.
Oh, I love all the foreshadowing.
But we'll get to that.
Yeah. Don't touch that dial.
I don't think there's very many entities left that can just command the cultural zeitgeist the way that, and granted, it doesn't last for long, but to get that kind of publicity, I know that's what Netflix is going for. They want the memes, they want the Twitter thing, they want it trending, they want all of this attention, eyeballs, and that's, I think, for the most part, they succeeded. And I don't know how much it has to do with just the novelty of the film or the idea that there's that A Quiet Place came out this year as well.
Right. Yeah, I think that's kind of what most people are saying, is that the premise of it is a little bit a mix of A Quiet Place and The Happening. But yeah, it does. I think it
was
much more
helped. The Happening, I felt like, than A Quiet
for
Place.
Sure. But I think it does help that A Quiet Place was a big hit and people liked it a lot, and it's a great movie. And I think enough time had passed where it wasn't like brand new, so people aren't saying it's necessarily a ripoff. But I think that definitely helped. I think you're onto something there for sure. But yeah, I guess we'll see. I think you're right, and I think that Netflix probably has more to do with these Bird Box memes than people realize. I'm pretty sure that they probably were starting most of them, and there's even like a subset that's kind of happening. Couple good ones. The best meme to come out of the Bird Box memes was when Tom Hollander's character forces the old lady to look out the window. The memes they do with that one is actually, those were some of the best ones, I thought. But there's like this subset of memes with people like, they're showing like a Twitter account, and it's supposed to be like some young kid, some millennial, like us, just saying, oh, that girl from Bird Box is so hot, and then other people are like, oh, you're disrespecting Sandra Bullock, you only know her as that lady from Bird Box, and then they show a bunch of pictures of how pretty she is, and they're like, oh, she's still so pretty when she's 51, how is that possible? Like, that's like, those are a lot of the memes, the subset memes that are also like super popular. Because I'm like, who doesn't know who Sandra Bullock is? Even as a millennial, like, no one is saying that girl from Bird Box. Like, that was manufactured, dude. I don't buy that, but...
You said that these memes were manufactured in a lab, and that if you didn't laugh at any of the memes, that means that your eyes are wide open.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're seeing you're a fucking truther, and you need to stay on that course.
I don't have to dodge bullets anymore. I just put my hand up.
Are we being fed this fake hype from who knows?
Yes.
Who knows why this stuff is trending on Twitter? Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Is Rotten Tomatoes a fucking sham? Absolutely.
100%.
You gotta open your mind.
Right, and we're building towards that.
You gotta see the truth.
L Squared, as a podcast, we're building towards it. We want to be part of that. If you want to start memes, if you want to start, any kind of cultural movement, start with us. We're ready to be manufactured.
We are. That being said, we will any sort of sponsorship.
Please, guys. I mean, really, we're really times are not good.
Yeah.
So
that's Bird Box.
Yeah, so that was Bird Box. Another movie that I saw on Netflix came out. I think it debuted or officially came out in 2017, but it's called a documentary called Film Worker about Leon Vitali, and I hadn't really heard anything about this movie.
So go ahead and set this one up a little bit more, because this one might be a little. This one wasn't quite in the cultural zeitgeist that Bird Box was in. So
yeah, good point.
For the listeners, explain to me what Film Worker is. It's a documentary.
Yep, documentary. I just stumbled upon it on Netflix, but it basically centers around this guy, Leon Vitali, who was this kind of up-and-coming actor, British actor. Young guy, was in a lot of TV shows. He was kind of getting some hype, and he tells a story like he had become a big fan of Stanley Kubrick, which I know I am. A lot of film people are. He was a pretty good director, hot take. But he had become a fan of his, and he was starting to get some clout as an actor, and he kind of told his management that he would like to, if it was ever possible, he would love to be able to work with Stanley Kubrick. And then he was able to get that opportunity with Barry Lyndon when Kubrick was filming Barry Lyndon. He had a pretty good role in it. It wasn't a main character, but it was one of the big side characters, and that was probably his biggest film role. And he loved working on it. It got his name out there. A lot of people were talking about him, and at that point, he could probably have his pick of almost any movie he wanted to do at that point.
He seemed to me like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he at that point, post Barry Lyndon.
Yeah.
I don't know. He was kind of like he's like a young Val Kilmer almost.
Okay,
just kind of the look.
Yeah.
Maybe not as...
definitely looks like
maybe
him,
lacks a bit of the machismo.
Right.
But the machismo didn't quite come around till the mid-'80s /'90s.
Yeah, he was definitely like how Hollywood sometimes anoints their next star. He was on track.
Right.
To be that.
Because I feel like he had that kind of trajectory. Maybe not the full... I don't think we would have saw him in Batman, but...
Right. But I think
definitely one of those dudes that's just there.
Maybe almost like a Bradley Cooper career arc. Bradley Cooper was big on that TV show, and then just slowly started to get bigger and bigger roles. maybe some, I don't know. It's hard to, but it was Hollywood typically every few years anoints like an up-and-comer. That's our next big star. He's going to be the star of your favorite movies for the next 5 years, you know.
Sure.
So he was kind of on that upward trajectory. Well, after working on that film, he had kind of told Stanley Kubrick, you know, I loved working on this film. I would love to... He just admired him and appreciated his work and how he did it and how meticulous he was. He just said, like, I really loved working with you. If there was any chance that I could work with you behind the scenes, I would totally do that. Meanwhile, Leon had never worked behind it. He was only an actor, had never done any kind of other work. And Stanley basically said to him, okay, well, if you really want to do that, go get a job, go start doing that, and then get back to me. And so he did a smaller, I think it was a TV movie, maybe?
Yeah.
A smaller movie, something.
He basically, from what I understood, he helped cut a TV movie.
Yeah, like he kind of agreed to be in this TV movie if they allowed him to edit it, help edit it.
Frankenstein.
Yeah,
It wasn't like a canon Frankenstein film, but like a TV movie, kind of yada yada. I'm sure it was actually pretty good because I really did enjoy kind of watching Liam Vitale on screen.
Yeah, for sure.
But
so they agreed to let him help edit, and he did that, and then he got back to Stanley, and Stanley said, okay, well, I'm going to be, basically hired him as an assistant, and for The Shining, which was his next film, I believe, and then Leon basically became his number one guy, and the documentary goes on to just show how really does a good job of showing how much of a maniac Stanley Kubrick was, and like how much work he really made Leon do, because Leon just became his number one guy, and all that meticulous, crazy care that Stanley put into everything, all of a sudden Leon had to do all that busy work with none of the vision or foresight, and so it just kind of shows how underappreciated he really was, especially in the film community, and still is, and just how it just slowly he became the only guy in the world who was an expert at almost every single step of the process of making a movie, because of Stanley. It's very, very interesting. But what was your take on it, on Film Worker?
I like Film Worker. It's okay. I feel like we've maybe treaded on this ground before, just as far as the genius of Stanley Kubrick, and the more I feel like you dig into it, the more you feel like it's just, God, maybe this guy was just kind of an asshole.
Right. Yeah.
Because we always like play that game, like good hang, bad hang, and there are, for lack of a better word, geniuses in their medium that I feel like would be kind of fun to go get a beer with. Like, for instance, if you said, hey, you can go get a beer with anyone who would, like, Paul Thomas Anderson seems like a totally fun hang.
Yeah, seems just like a quirky, goofy guy.
He's a master of his craft. He has a sense of humor, which I don't.
Yeah.
I feel like Kubrick was maybe a little bit lacking in the humor department, unless you've had a couple drinks and you throw on Eyed Wide Shut. All of a sudden, that film is just
hilarious.
It's something completely different.
Yeah,
but
it's a joke.
I don't know if that's the way he intended it, but to a certain point, you're kind of I was exhausted watching it.
Oh yeah,
did you feel that?
Time.
Did you feel that thing where I felt kind of like an asshole, like sitting on my couch, and watching this documentary?
I kind of,
man, like.
Yeah.
Vitale would be Vitaly would be stapling his head to the carpet right now if Kubrick saw him watching this just
he would be
documentary
instead of meticulously going over
scrawling down notes about the cufflinks and
the color pattern for the New Zealand cut.
Because you got to have the cufflinks right.
Yeah. They have to be right.
If they're not right, then we got to go back.
Why are you ruining my movie? Yeah. Right.
Did you feel that? I felt that. And that kind of frustrated me. I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. I did feel that, but it had a little bit. It made my appreciation grow more for Leon, and it brought up a lot of interesting points.
Right.
The main one being great art comes at a price, and people who sometimes the vision is all that bullshit that Stanley Kubrick put everyone through. Case in point, fucking Leon Vitali more than anyone was all that shit. Just being kind of a monster in some ways. Was that worth it because of all the great art he gave us? Now that question isn't really answered. It's just kind of brought up, obviously. And I think in Leon's case, he was willing to sacrifice himself in a way because he appreciated the art so much, and he really, it moved him, and he thought that he really believed in what Stanley was doing, and I think he and Stanley shared that they both just saw the greater picture. Now you have every right, not just you, Old Legs, but everyone, you have every right to say, well, being a decent human being should come first before anything else, and I agree with that, but it definitely brings up a lot of interesting points, and maybe just decent human beings aren't made to make great art. I don't know. I mean, but we have a lot of examples that are the contrary to that. So
sure, there's just the opposite point would be that sometimes chaos and even, I don't even know what you want to call it, dumb luck can turn into a masterpiece as well. Like, for instance, Jaws. Nothing worked on Jaws.
Right.
Nobody on the set of Jaws believed that Jaws was going to be any good.
Right.
And through sheer, I don't even know what you want to call it, but somehow with all the stuff that happened, the shark doesn't work, this doesn't work, they go way over their budget, they're filming stuff in Spielberg's pool, and it turns into a classic. So I'm just going to say, I'm not going to say that there's a right or a wrong way to do something, but there most certainly, there's more. You don't have to be this meticulous, methodical, overbearing thing that Kubrick was. And again, his track record was nearly spotless. I don't think there's really any Kubrick film that I wouldn't sit down and watch. But
can I make a quick point there?
An amendment?
Just, if I could make an amendment on that. It's a good point you bring up, but the counter argument to that is that they had Steven Spielberg at the helm for Jaws, and he was a young, hungry filmmaker. And when you watch that movie, it was clear that he was directing his ass off to make that movie a thing.
No,
but I
make a counter to that?
Hold on.
What they were doing
Let me finish my counter.
Is completely different. It's completely different schools of thought. What Spielberg was doing was complete chaos.
Right.
Working with what he had, doing the best they could with that. There's no way.
But he was able to direct his way around it.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Does Kubrick, does he even finish Jaws?
No.
If Kubrick directs Jaws, do we ever see Jaws?
No, because that's why we never saw his Napoleon movie or his Holocaust movie.
Sure.
he could never do it. But the end point I was going to say was I think Star Wars might be a better example, the original one. Because I don't think George Lucas is that good of a director, hot take. But everybody thought that movie wasn't going to do anything and that it was going to be a joke. And that one kind of stumbled its way into what it is.
I suppose.
You know, and then he never really directed.
Saying,
yeah.
But that's different levels of talent. I'm saying, like you said with Spielberg, Kubrick that's like comparable levels of talent, directorial-wise. I see what you're saying, yeah. And just different ways of getting to the same point. Which I feel like this film was like, if you're not, and again, this is probably sounding like a millennial, like, oh, I don't wanna work.
Yeah, that is what it sounds like.
7-hour days.
7 is too many hours.
Yeah, unless you want to work 40 hours a week. I mean,
come on.
So it's like,
why do you think we have welfare?
That was it. If I hadn't already gone down the Kubrick rabbit hole a few times, I'll end by saying that it was good, but seeing little tiny clips of Kubrick movies more so just made me want to just watch 2001.
Right.
Yeah.
That definitely, that was a real thing.
I see, like, you get going, you see, like, 30 seconds of The Shining, like, I just kind of want to watch The Shining.
Right.
You know?
You don't want to see how the sausage is made. You just want to enjoy it.
I think I already knew how the sausage is made. Like, I knew from, what was it, Room 240?
237, yeah.
237?
One of the best documentaries ever, in my opinion.
I knew the sausage was made. Like I knew.
You knew how meticulous he was.
Yeah,
but you didn't need a documentary to be as meticulous as he was.
Yeah, it kind of spoiled it for me. But it's fine. I don't think anything less of Leon or Kubrick.
It gave me a great, because I had never heard of Leon Vitali. I don't know who has, but after that I have a really great appreciation for him, and I really connected to it because sometimes honestly the job that I have feels a lot like Leon's job, where sometimes you just feel like you're doing busy work and you have more knowledge of these specific things than anyone else, so you're kind of the only go-to person about it because all of a sudden you're an expert about 1,000 things and you don't get credit for any of it. I definitely resonated with that quite a bit. This
is true.
So I mean,
I've been to Luke's home. He has just boxes and boxes full of handwritten notes that he just takes throughout the day. He's just constantly he's just writing.
Yeah, I know. And
writing down.
So I guess
writing down these things to check up on, and
it's ridiculous. It's a problem, but I guess
Luke, you should.
No, I have to keep working. I can't stop.
The cloud.
I mean, we're in the cloud, you don't need this to fire hazard. You don't need all this paper.
Do you have a smartphone?
Yeah. Why are you doing this to yourself?
Why are you writing?
Yeah. This.
What are you?
I mean,
pencil?
As we're doing this podcast, I'm taking notes.
What are you doing with the? You have a fucking pencil in your hand?
What is this?
It's starting to creep me out, man.
What is this, 1876?
Yeah.
But I guess.
Okay. Segue.
No, hold on.
Segue.
Just let me say my last thing before you do your segue. You can do it.
It's not gonna work now, but
damn it! I just had this thing in my head. We can cut all this out. Just let me say what I was gonna say. If it doesn't work, we'll just cut it out, and then we'll just put the segue right back on top of it. I was gonna say, I guess this film worker gives me hope that one day someone will come along and make a documentary about how underappreciated I am. That was it. We should probably cut.
That was it?
That was it. We should probably cut that, huh? Yeah. Okay, do you want me to say it? Should I say
that might actually be a better documentary, and you'll just there'll be multiple dozens upon dozens of testimonials, just pouring their hearts about how lazy Old Legs is and was, and how demanding he could be
at the same time. Yeah, and poor Luke just has to run in circles all the time.
Right.
Yeah, and then it wouldn't distract you with these great pieces of art that would make you want to go watch 2001. It's like what?
No, because I don't have any great pieces of
art.
Right,
exactly. So it works perfectly.
You better be responding to my late night emails,
or else. So we're gonna cut all that. Do you want me to say what 1876 again? And then we can do the segue.
1876. I'm like, hey, what? Wait, is that a pencil in your hand? Wait, did you get that from Clint Eastwood?
What?
We're talking. We're going with a throwback. We're gonna talk about the Mule.
The Mule.
We're talking about. I swear to God, if you kids, and you're sitting at your homes, in your apartments, in your dorm rooms, if you
should be ashamed of yourselves.
If you even thought about picking up your cell phone during this podcast,
knock it off.
You're a shame. You're a menace to society.
You are
you're the problem. You're part of You're part of the fucking problem.
Right, exactly.
And
dumbass.
That's what the Mule's about. It's
exactly.
It's a metaphor for technology.
Right.
And if you, it may or may not be one of the better. Hey, you know what? Those kids and their Twitter and their Tumblr and their
what are they doing?
Oh God, yeah, I didn't even get texting.
Yeah, I mean, guys, what? Don't you just talk anymore? Okay. What's with all you kids and all your texting? That's most of the movie. So, yeah.
So, without giving away too much, do you want to give us the premise for the Mule?
Yeah, so it's based on a true story, right?
Really?
I don't know. Is it?
I'm sure at some point.
Yeah.
Okay,
fine.
Whatever. The cartel was running in lot of drugs. I'm sure they had
at some point.
Old guy,
old dude. Yeah, inspired by the New York Times Magazine article, the Sinaloa's cartel's 90-year-old drug mule, whatever. So basically, Clint Eastwood plays this super old dude, 90-year-old.
This is the most un-Clint Eastwood performance of all time.
Yeah. He basically, he just is this old guy who drives slow, and the cartel asks him to be a drug mule for them, and he does.
Oh, that's it?
That's the whole thing.
Oh. Do I have to go now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week. Yeah.
Okay, so,
and he's a
the Mule.
Yeah, go for it.
So, Clint Eastwood, you see something like this, you see the trailer, he's kind of looking over, he does that kind of like weird Mandy smile with the blood on his face.
Yeah.
And it kind of gets you right, it gets you hyped for something. And this film takes, so Gran Torino, I would say, I'm going to go out on a limb. Gran Torino is divisive. I bet for many people, Gran Torino is quite offensive.
Okay.
And it's what you may consider a habitual line stepper. And the Mule is like the VFW ladies' night get a free drink version of that. It is the lamest shit ever.
Yeah. So you're saying that...
It's so boring.
I mean, it was basically 90 minutes of... I don't even know if it was 90 minutes. It was just pandering to old people the whole time.
And it's like, that doesn't really do it justice, because there's a right way to do this.
Sure.
Because we've seen it on film before, but it was so boring.
Yeah. I don't even know who this movie's for, really. I mean,
and sometimes I like boring films. If boring films are about interesting things, or if they're about some artist who makes this beautiful sculpture on the beach and then just watches it wash away into the ocean because it'll never be made again. Like that's like an interesting thing. There's nothing interesting going on here.
No, I mean
he's not John Wick. He doesn't take down the cartel.
No.
That's an interesting movie, I guess. Is that a better movie than this? Probably.
Yeah. I mean,
Is it less believable? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, this movie just... I mean, Clint Eastwood is known for a few things. One of the things everybody says about him, his directing style, is he's just a one-cut guy. He likes to get it in one shot. He doesn't like to do a bunch of shots. Literally the opposite of Stanley Kubrick. He likes to do it in one, and that can be a good thing, or it can be not a good thing.
It's cool. No, it's a good thing. That's fucking badass.
Yeah, whatever.
Super cool.
So, obviously that leads to some not great performances if actors aren't used to that type of thing. Now, Clint Eastwood is a guy who can just turn it on in a second, as always has been, but I think that when actors aren't used to that, I think that it really shows that it's like, it felt like... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I stepped on you, but did you think that the performances were bad? Because I didn't necessarily think so.
No,
not Bradley Cooper was bad.
Not bad, but I'm just saying I could tell it was their first fucking take. Like, it just felt like... I don't know. To me, that's what it felt like. It didn't feel like it was... It wasn't... It felt like everyone was very aware that they were in a movie. And that's annoying to me. No, Bradley Cooper was fine. You know, Michael Pena was fine. Because they're good actors, but it just felt kind of lazy. I mean, the whole movie felt lazy, and it's like, this movie's kind of billed sort of as like, this could be Clint Eastwood's last movie. I mean, he is super fucking old. And it's just, I think they really tried hard to get to that.
I mean, would you be surprised if it came out that, not unlike the Watchmen film, which was nearly frame for frame the exact same as the graphic novel / comic books, would you believe that this was word for word the exact same as the New York Times Magazine article which this movie was based off of? No. Is that not like the oldest thing you ever
Yeah.
Like.
Right.
Like, I think that says it all. They're like, I don't even know if we...
Right.
That actually kind of sums it up.
Yeah.
This was based off a New York Times Magazine article.
Right. They were just
and that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
It felt like I was
watching an article in live action.
An article, and it should have taken me like less than 10 minutes.
Right.
And I should have been able to move on with my day and just not really think about it again, because this was it just took no chances. Like, there was multiple different opportunities for this film to take a chance and to be interesting and to be provocative, but which would have been awesome.
Yeah, it would have been. I think you and I were waiting for that to happen the whole time.
Yeah, especially, I don't know what it was. We saw this as a matinee, but there was quite a few people in the theater.
Yeah, a surprising amount, and they were all significantly older than we were.
I wanted to hear just the audience reaction if Eastwood just got down with a couple of Colombian showgirls.
Yeah.
And just what that would look like. Because I don't know if I've seen that.
Yeah, no, and again, definitely not.
Like what's one of my things? Like I
number one,
be able to remember
number
a
one,
movie.
Memorable. Yeah.
Remember one single thing.
Yeah.
And this.
Yeah, I just felt you're right. It didn't take any chances, and I feel like all the conflict in this movie was resolved almost instantly. It felt like that was part of the laziness, but it also didn't ratchet up almost any tension in any scene that it could have. They had a lot of opportunities where they could have easily tried to play up the tension and didn't. But yeah, every conflict that came up was resolved. It almost seemed to not even... And, maybe that was an intentional thing. Maybe it was because his character is kind of I'm an old man, so you can't do anything to me. I don't really care. I'm going to die anyway.
Was it because he felt bad for neglecting his real daughter in real life while he was doing all the
the
Good, Bad, and Ugly movies?
Yeah, maybe.
And he's like, hey, why don't you play this role in a movie?
Yeah.
Where you're the daughter that got neglected, but then at the end you love me.
Yeah, does that sound good?
And I make up for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was that a little weird?
That was weird. Really weird.
Okay, so sorry. Yeah, Allison Eastwood was the daughter that hated Clint Eastwood, the father, or grandfather, for neglecting her entire life.
Yeah. That seemed odd.
I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and
funny
it made me think
you pulled it together in the end. All right, well.
Yeah, it made me think like how old was he when he had Scott, his son, Scott Eastwood? Scott Eastwood isn't that old, is he?
Scott's cool. Scott's like 30s-ish.
Yeah. And Clint is 88, 90. So Clint was 60 when he had Scott.
Dude, that's Eastwood though, man.
That's fucking Eastwood.
I bet he did. That's one take.
Yeah, that's it. That was the one. Yeah, Scott Eastwood's 33.
That's like the crime of this movie. We're talking the man with no name. We're talking Dirty Harry. This is the most un-Eastwood performance
100%.
of all time, and it was of his tuition, and it was based off an article in the New York Times. Like I'm sorry. I wanted to like it. I really wanted to like it, but I didn't.
Yeah. So. Same. It was very underwhelming, and unfortunately, there's a big demographic out there that I'm sure love this movie, and I'm sure they got a kick out of it, and I'm sure it'll play great at frickin' retirement homes.
Maybe it'll save a couple VFWs.
Yeah, hopefully it does something for somebody, but it just didn't hit the mark, and there were just a lot of opportunities that it could have been a lot better than it was, and it was about, it's what you would expect a movie based on an article would be. That's about how much substance this had. So I don't know. Would you recommend people to go see it?
No.
I don't think I would either. It's really not worth your time.
It's...
I mean, I know what you're thinking, listener. I know, because I was right there with you. You think, well, I really like Clint Eastwood. He's directed a lot of good movies. He's a cool guy. This looks like this could be his tour, his ride into the sunset. He's playing a curmudgeonly old guy. He's an old guy. Maybe he has like these visions of of whatever. No, it's none of that.
It's frustrating because it could have been an interesting movie. There's a lot of a lot of fun things that you could have done here, and this is going to sound super millennial, but this is absolutely a situation where you look at a script and you're like, hey, you know what we need to do? We need to Hollywood this a little bit.
Yep.
We need to give it a little zest.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And, you know, with Clint Eastwood, he probably has Final Cut, I'm assuming. So I'm
guessing... I'm guessing that's 100%. Yeah, he's got some say.
So even us millennial producers who are like, all right, guys, this is like pretty boring, and it's not interesting enough to be boring. So let's liven it up a bit. If I'm sure he's well within his rights to say, yeah, you can go ahead and fuck yourself. And that's probably what happened. It tried to make him sort of an anti-hero, but it didn't really do a good job of doing that.
So fucking boring.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not what you want, guys. It's not, and don't let it trick you into seeing it because it's Clint Eastwood. It's just not. It's not that good.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think I'm done with that. Let the mule die. All right, put it down, bring it out to pasture. But loyal listeners, I just wanted to shout out quick here if you made it this far. So today we're recording this January 9th. This coming Monday, January 14th, Rodents of Unusual Size documentary is premiering
I still need to see this one.
on PBS at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. If you follow us, I interviewed one of the directors, Quinn Costello. That movie was one of the features that was at the South Dakota Film Festival, which we are the official podcast of, and we're not sure if we're allowed to say that. But he and I had a great conversation. You should definitely go check that episode out. And it's one of my favorite documentaries I've ever seen. And so it's making its big premiere on PBS, free. Please go check it out, and let's support him.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it. That was one of I didn't see the first flight of films that first day there, so I'm excited to go see that. I love a good documentary, and I will definitely be tuning in. So
awesome.
Shout outs.
And there's no Kubrick in it. As far as I know, he's more of a Clint Eastwood guy, one take. It's not, you're not going to feel like he's an asshole throughout. All important things to look for in documentaries.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, well, I think that'll do it for us here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. You can hit me up on Twitter at LukeLarson89. Find us on Twitter at L2 Podcast. Also on Facebook at L2 Podcast. We're on SoundCloud, YouTube. Hit us up. We're going to be coming back fast and furious. Next week.
Replicas.
No, that's
Keanu
not.
Reeves. It's like John Wick 2.5. Except this time he has a wife, and he brings it back to life. It's like smart John Wick. Don't fight me on this. I can't fucking wait.
No, it's not what it's going to be.
Replicas.
No, we're not going to talk about that. There's no way. Keanu's tricked me before, but I'm not falling for it this time.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. It might have to go in that. Into that special category of old movies. The Pantheon.
Yeah. No one.
Mamma Mia 2. the lost tapes. I can't wait. All right.
Peace.
Peace.